ready. You ready? All right, ready? So again, I'm going to be talking about slavery. I'll be talking about it and the residue of slavery and where he had the Bible weight calf. And I want to kind of everybody to understand what this project is about and what we're trying to do and what we are dealing with, because many black people and many people in America are still bound and unconscious that they're bound. I think the best way to accomplish a mission in a deceptive practice is for the person not to even know what's going on. The best way for me to steal from you is for you not to know that you're being stolen from, because then you'll put up no defense to stop me from stealing. If you know that I'm robbing you, you're going to stop me. So the best way to keep a slave is to not let him know he's a slave. One of the things America did, America taught us, once we learned we were slaves, then there became a fight. There are two groups of people that was in slavery when it comes down to blacks. There's three groups of people. You have the people that went into slavery, which was the first one. Have the people that was enslaved, and make sure you're getting these. And then you have the people at the end of slavery. And there was three different mindsets in all of these particular people. Now there was a fight because of the people that went into slavery at the beginning. They had been free. So because they had been free, they fought, because they know what true liberation was. You have that group that was enslaved that was never born, because those original slaves died. And there were people that were born after the original slaves. They died, so they didn't know what it meant to live in freedom. So enslavement became a natural lifestyle to them because they'd never been free. They never knew anything else. And then you have the group that at the end that was curious as to what true slavery, true freedom would look like. They had never experienced it. They had never saw it. But they saw the white men living in freedom, and they said, you know, I wonder what it'd like to be free. This group here, who was in fact, freed at one time, experiencing, and so they're fighting the system. Because they say, man, what is this mess that we're in? We're free, we're liberated. And then you got this other group here again that was conscious that there was a different lifestyle than they wanted. Now that didn't happen until the very end. But the group that was here became comfortable living a particular lifestyle. Now, I want you to get this. Then you have another outside factor of slavery, which is white people who have a conscience that this is wrong, and other ethnicities that have a conscience that this is wrong, and they want to free these enslaved people. They want to free them. Now you got very few of these enslaved people who wanted to get out and wanted it, because remember, they've been born and they've been, and this word is called conditioned. They've been conditioned to accept it, which makes the resistance light. You know, you think, why over 100 years nobody protested slavery and fought against slavery, and you beat me, nobody really, no real uprising. Why? Because we've been conditioned to accept this. Now, when the white person who's conscious that this is wrong by his moral conscience, the white person who's conscious that this is wrong says, you know what, these people ought not live like this, we want them free. And there's some seating here, if you need to sit, there's some seating here. That, so now you got a white man or other whites who want to free these people, but these people themselves don't want to be free. There's some seating here, Alexis, and there's some seating there too if you die. So I don't want to be free. So now what happens? Even when the white man frees this guy, he's not conditioned for freedom, because his mindset is all about being bound. And very few who are hungry to know what true freedom is about. Now I want to go over this so you can have this. Everybody follow me? So you got the different groups. Now, it's important that you to understand what slavery is and what it is to be truly enslaved. There are 4 components to slavery, and we only know one, and we only focus on one, and this is the distraction of slavery. The distraction is to get you to think slavery is just a physical slavery. Because if you think physical slavery is really just all slavery consists of, when we release you physically, you think you're free. And you're really not. And so because you think you're free because you release you physically, you don't fight us because you say, we got our freedom. You don't have your freedom. The physical slavery, I'll give you this example, all right? Watch this. If I kept you in this room for 50 days, and you couldn't go nowhere for 50 days, and then one day I let you go in the front yard, you think you're free because you've been in here 50 years. And now you're still bound because you got to stay in the fence. But you think you're free because all you've known is the house. So when you got a person who's been physically incarcerated and physically bound, and now you let him go out and do certain things, he thinks he's free. But he really ain't free. He just has been released from one component. So if I got handcuffs on your hand, handcuffs on your feet, blindfold on your eyes, and some type of component in your ears where you can't hear, when I release the handcuffs off your hand, you think you're free because you're able to move your hand, but really you're not. Black people ain't never been freed in America, and we still ain't free in America. And there are chains now that are left on us that what happens is physical freedom. I say, if you say my hands bound and my eyes bound and my feet bound, and my hand get loose, I'm supposed to not be able to take my hands that are free physically and use my hands that are physically bound to unlock my hands. I have to unlock my feet, to take the blindfolds off my eyes and take these, but because I'm focusing so much that I'm physically free, I haven't used the physical freedom that I have to release myself. Because being physically free means I no longer had to work for the master. I should have been working for myself to free myself economically. Because once my hands get free, now I ought to be able to untie my hand. And my feet, rather, and my ears. But guess what happened? When the black man got physically free, he used his physical freedom to go back and work for the white man, and he never freed himself economically. Because his hands are free to work for his own labor free, but he's not working to free himself. He's still working for somebody else. Make sense? So now what you have is a man who's physically free, but he can't use his physical labor to free himself economically, socially, or mentally. So all this freedom now goes back to the farm. That makes sense? So now you have only one component that most black people are free. And let me show you this. All right? Write those down for me, those words. Somebody get that down and write it down so we'll have it. Get that, write it down for me. So you'll remember mentally, physical, economically, socially. Everybody got that? That makes sense? Now, let's deal with economics and how the money system works. What is money? Money is time and money is labor. I want you to understand something. If I go to Africa from America, I'd have to take the dollar and convert that dollar over so that I could get the money from Africa. All right? So I have to exchange. Every single one of you have your own currency. You have your own currency called time. Well, and whatever labor you have, you know how to do, that's the type of currency you got. So for instance, if I'm a electrician, my money is called electric. If I'm a plumber, my money is called plumber. And I convert my money, which is my labor, into paper so that I can do business in America. So you are money itself. You are money. You are finance. It just has to be converted from your time into your labor to the currency of this country. Now, whatever country you work in, if you're in Africa, your time, so look at yourself as a bank. You are a bank. You have your own money. You are your own money. And your labor is converted into the money of another country. So everybody got your own country. You're your own island that's got your own country, your own money. And people come to you and exchange money for your labor. So when the slaves came, they robbed the bank. They robbed everybody of their own selves. We'll go back to that later. But now, converting, you gotta convert time into money. So watch how slavery worked. The slave owner made you work, and when you worked, he went and took your money. Now what I want you to ask you, what's easier? Is it easier for me to come, if you work, and come take the labor from you? Or is it easier if you labored and you came to me and say, here, master, here go all the money? Which one is easier? The guy that's going to say, here, master, here go all the money. So let me tell you how it works in America. You work in the yard, and say you're a guy that work in the field, and you do food. You working in the grove. Let's just use that a minute. You work in the grove. So you work in the grove, boss man pay you $300 a week. So your money has been, your time has been converted to money, $3 a week. So you got oranges, apple, and all those things that you got, that you worked on. You're going to get that. Now you go to the store. When you go to the store, you're going to buy those same oranges that you picked, those same apples that you picked. So essentially what you're doing is giving the slave owner his money back, and you're working for free. Because money is time. So say, for instance, I paid $20 for an orange, and I'm getting paid $10 an hour. I didn't pay $10, I paid 2 hours. And guess what? If I picked the oranges and then brought the oranges, all I did is gave that labor back. So essentially, I ain't making nothing. So the only way that you get economically free, if you grow the oranges, that becomes your currency, and then they buying it from you, or we buying it from ourselves. But the problem is that when I raise the money and you see money as valuable and not see business as value, you're thinking from two different aspects. See, we see money as value. All right? And we don't see business as value. See, let me tell you, there's a consumer mind and there's an owner mind. A person who is a consumer, he wants money because he needs money to buy. A person who has a liberated mind, he wants business. He don't want money to buy from people. He wants business so people can buy from him and he get the money. So what we got to do to free ourselves, let's talk about the physical. Now we got to use our physical labor to free ourselves economically, and the only way to do that is to work for yourself and to bring that money back into your own cycle. Don't let any of it go out. That's doing business between, you see, there's trade. And when you trade, you're not now wasting your time. You're exchanging your time. When you purchase with money, you are giving paper, physical paper, in exchange for your time. And what you're really saying, you ain't worth but a piece of paper. But if everybody had, if you had the oranges, you had the plates, you had the apples, you had the building, you need what I got and I need what you got, there is a system that could survive that nobody could go hungry. And you create your own economic circle. And when you create your own economic circle, you trade within, but you exchange without. So everything we do with each other, we don't spend money. We trade. You got the oranges, I need apples. Brother King, I'm going to give you 50 oranges, you give me 50 apples. All right? And you need apple juice. All right, I'm going to give you 50 oranges, you give me 50 containers. That's what we do within, because we never use the money. We use an exchange. But somebody outside of the circle have to pay us. Now, if you do outside, we don't trade outside. We exchange. So I got 50 apples from you. Guess what? Now I need from you $100. You're not in the exchange system. Now I'm going to take that money from your cycle and build my cycle to continue to buy resources so I can continue to get that exchange from the outside. The trade is inside. The problem is we don't have enough in our community to trade, because anything that we get, people buy us out of it. We get brought out. And then when you get brought out, you don't have anything else to reproduce what's bringing in the exchange. For example, I'm going to give you an example. If I got a Coke machine, and my Coke machine is making me $100 a day, and somebody came to me and said, hey, I want to buy your Coke machine for $10,000. I want that $10,000. I'll sell that Coke machine for $10,000, which is immediate cash. But that $10,000, they're looking at the future of that Coke machine. I'm making $100 a day. So you never exchange out. Because our problem now, even within the black community, we're selling land. And once you sell that land, and if I sell you land, and I tell you that, if I sell you land for $1,000, believe me, you see something more valuable, because you don't buy nothing. Nobody buys anything from you that they don't feel like it's got a greater value than what they bought it for. got a piece of property. So everybody kept calling me. All these guys kept calling me, will you sell? Will you sell? Will you sell? Well, when they say, will you sell, I want to know why all of a sudden 10 of y'all want my property.